And I always thought that Harry was lying when he said that he had the Queen's support. I think they played a blinder, and it was quite outrageous. It was once again them hijacking the royal family for their own purposes.
Prince Harry just got slammed with a brutal reality check live on TV. Picture this, a fiery GB news debate, and suddenly Tom Bower, the royal biographer who never bites his tongue, decides to unleash the truth about Lilibet's birth. He didn't hesitate, not even for a second, and when it came to describing Harry in just one word, Tom dropped the bomb. Dishonest. Ouch.
Tom Bower, with that in mind, if you could sum up Prince Harry in a single word, what would it be?
Dishonest.
Harry thought he had wrapped up the royal chapter of his life, tucked away in Montecito's calm, surrounded by luxury and guarded gates. But Tom Bower, he doesn't follow Harry's rules. He came crashing right through those walls Harry thought were untouchable. Imagine the scene. Harry and Meghan cozy at home, California sunshine filtering in, security all tight, and then suddenly headlines erupt, social media explodes, and one name blazes at the center of the storm. Tom Bower.
He wants to live in California and pop over here just to remind people how important it is, and at the same time, of course, undermine the royal family.
This man has become their shadow, the figure they just can't shake. The author who rattles their entire team, who makes their so-called privacy shatter like glass. And this time, Tom didn't just poke the bear, he shook the entire palace down to its foundations. No casual dig here, no throwaway jab. He went straight for the jugular. He claimed he had uncovered the real truth about Princess Lilibet Diana. And trust me, it was nothing like the perfect picture Harry's been selling us. And that wasn't all. Bower shredded Harry's defense of Spare, his memoir. Harry wanted the world to believe it wasn't just gossip, but Bower. He wasn't buying a single word. He went so far as to say Harry and Meghan have done more in just 5 years to damage the monarchy than anyone else in centuries. Let that sink in.
And that really is. He and Meghan together have done more in the last 4 or 5 years to destroy the royal family than anyone over the past hundreds of years. And I fear that this trip has done huge damage to the royal family, because in the end he'll get his vengeance, and it's very, very bad.
And here's where it stings even worse. The timing. Just a few months ago, Harry celebrated a tiny win when a charity regulator cleared his co-founded foundation, Sentably, of ugly accusations of bullying, harassment, and misogyny. But even then, the chair, Sophie Chandaka, called Harry toxic. So yes, even when he wins, he loses. And now, enter Bower, Harry's living nightmare. For Harry, Tom Bower isn't just another critic. He's the thorn buried deep in royal skin, always showing up, always pressing where it hurts the most. For years, Bower chipped away at the Sussex narrative bit by bit, but this time, it was pure scorched earth. Calm as ever, Bower sat on a British current affairs show and detonated a grenade into royal history. His claim that key details about Lilibet's birth were twisted, covered up, or maybe even fabricated by Harry and Meghan's camp. The studio froze. The host literally stopped mid-air. And across the Atlantic, Harry's stomach must have dropped like a stone. Because let's be real, Harry built a fortress around his children. Archie and Lilibet are his no-go zones. Mention them, and he lashes out with lawsuits, raging statements, fiery rebuttals. But this wasn't a faceless troll or a random palace insider. This was Tom Bower, the man who dismantles giants one brick at a time. And his details? Chillingly specific. He said there are gaping holes in Lilibet's birth timeline, her christening, even her royal introduction, sealed documents, secret meetings at Clarence House, whispers that senior royals never fully acknowledged her place in the line of succession. Oh, and he casually hinted that King Charles might have commissioned a private legal review into certain birth records. Can you imagine the look on Harry's face hearing that? And just like that, meltdown. Montecito descended into chaos, Harry pacing, raging about smear campaigns. Meghan, as usual, the strategist, urging calm, whispering, "Let the lawyers handle it." But Harry, he wasn't calm, not even close. The reaction to Bower's claims was electric. Social media lit up like fireworks, with fans, critics, and even casual observers jumping into the frenzy. Some called Harry a victim, others branded him the biggest liability the monarchy has ever had. But the most jaw-dropping detail? Viewers couldn't believe the way Bower delivered it. He wasn't ranting, he wasn't emotional, he was ice-cold, deliberate, like a man holding proof in his back pocket that could topple the whole institution. At one point, he even dropped a chilling hint that King Charles himself might have secretly commissioned a private legal review into birth records. That single insinuation sent shockwaves through the audience. Imagine it. The king quietly checking his granddaughter's legitimacy. That's not gossip, that's dynamite. And Harry knew it. Within hours, the Sussex household was in meltdown mode. Sources whispered that Harry was storming around like a lion trapped trapped in a cage. He was furious, pacing, muttering about vendettas and smear campaigns. Meghan, ever the PR tactician, urged calm. She begged him to let their legal team craft the response. But Harry, he wasn't thinking strategy, he was thinking revenge. And then came the split in public opinion. Some still saw Harry as a truth-teller, the brave prince who stood up against the monarchy's cold traditions, but more and more people began to see him as something else entirely, a ticking time bomb. One spark and he'd blow. And that spark? Tom Bower. The man's fiery words on GB News tore across the internet. The comments section became a battlefield. Finally, someone said it, one viewer wrote. Tom Bower just said what we've all been thinking for years. Another piled on. The media coddled Harry for too long. At least someone is telling the truth. And here's the kicker. While Harry rages, Bower sits back calmly, sipping tea, watching the storm swirl around him. He knows the secret. The harder Harry fights, the more chaotic he looks. And the calmer Bower appears, the more believable his claims seem. Because deep down, behind all the palace glamour, nothing matters more than bloodlines. They're the threads that hold the monarchy together. And here's Tom Bower, daring to suggest that even that sacred bond might be in question. It wasn't just shade, it was war. If people start doubting Lilibet's legitimacy, the fallout could be catastrophic. Her title, her succession rights, even Harry and Meghan's brand, all of it would suddenly be hanging by a thread. Those glittering Netflix deals, the Penguin Random House millions, the brand they've tried so hard to build, suddenly they look fragile, like glass towers built on shifting sand. And Harry knows it. That's why the fury burned so hot. But here's where the gossip gets even juicier. Palace insiders had apparently been whispering doubts about Lilibet long before Bower went public. Remember the Platinum Jubilee? Harry and Meghan swore the Queen met Lilibet. They even released a perfectly staged photo to prove it, except palace sources whispered that no one could confirm the meeting actually happened the way they claimed. And who picked up on that little inconsistency? Tom Bower. Like a bloodhound, he sniffed it out. And now he's suggesting the entire Jubilee moment was staged, crafted purely to cement Lilibet's place in royal history. If that's true, if the palace was really played, the consequences could be explosive, because nothing rocks the monarchy harder than doubts about legitimacy. History proves it. Edward VIII abdicated over legitimacy questions. Whole wars were fought over succession disputes. And now, in 2025, the same ghost is haunting the Windsors all over again, thanks to Harry's choices. And while this firestorm raged, Harry was reportedly having emotional conversations about the future of his children. A close friend told journalist Richard Eden that Harry wanted Archie and Lilibet to be educated in the UK, just like he was at Eton. The source claimed Harry feels his children are missing out on the family network their cousins enjoy, but of course, Meghan wasn't on the same page. To her, boarding school was barbaric. The clash was clear. Harry dreaming of his children immersed in British tradition, Meghan clinging to Californian independence. Even King Charles, insiders say, perked up at the possibility. Their meeting at Clarence House was described as positive, a rare word in the fractured royal vocabulary. So here Harry was, publicly raging, privately reminiscing, and desperately torn between past and present. And then came the jab that made the gossip rounds for days. When asked if Harry had rendered himself irrelevant since leaving the UK, Bower smirked and said, "Well, he hasn't, because when he comes here, he becomes a focus of attention." Then he twisted the knife. Meghan's attempts to become a great TV star? Crashing! Bower doubled down, suggesting Harry had smartly distanced himself from Meghan's faltering career, but also pointing out the couple are desperately looking for a new purpose. It painted a messy, painful picture. Harry yearning for reconciliation with his roots, Meghan clinging to her own dreams, both trapped in Montecito but adrift without direction. The Sussexes built their empire on a picture-perfect illusion: the rebel prince, the humanitarian duchess, the flawless family portrait. But gossip spreads faster than wildfire, and Tom Bower just found the crack in that polished glass. Because the truth is, once a single crack shows, the entire fairy tale can collapse like a sandcastle under the tide. And Harry knows it. Meghan knows it. The clock is ticking. Behind the scenes, whispers say legal threats were being drafted almost instantly. One insider even claims Harry muttered that he'd drag Tom Bower into court no matter the cost. Meghan, sharp as ever with her PR instincts, reportedly warned her team to monitor every word Bower uttered, track it, fight it, bury it. But here's the kicker. Both of them know this fight isn't about silencing him, it's about survival. If Bower really has proof, documents, emails, even whispers from palace insiders, then Harry isn't just defending his daughter's name. He's defending his entire legacy from turning to dust. But Harry, in that heated moment, wasn't thinking strategy. He was consumed with vengeance. According to insiders, he even wanted to record a furious, tearful video on the spot, waving Lilibet's birth certificate in front of the camera like a shield. He screamed, "This is my daughter! My daughter!" so loudly that little Archie started crying in the next room. Meghan had to physically pull him back, begging him not to play straight into the tabloid's favorite narrative, that Harry is unstable and unhinged. But rage doesn't listen to reason. Harry allegedly shouted, "If they're going to question my child's existence, I'll burn the whole system down." Those exact words. Burn it down. And somewhere across the ocean, you can picture Tom Bower smiling to himself because this is his game. Bait Harry, watch him explode, and let the world feast on the chaos. Sure enough, the next morning, Bower doubled down. In a newspaper column, he insisted his revelations were only the beginning. He hinted palace insiders had raised concerns about Lilibet's legitimacy as far back as 2021. That was all it took for Buckingham Palace to buzz like a hornet's nest. And yet, silence. The palace itself said nothing, not a word in Harry's defense. Behind closed doors, aides were reportedly laughing that Harry was doing Bower's work for him by overreacting so wildly. William especially remained icily calm. One source close to him whispered, "William doesn't need to say a word. The truth always surfaces eventually. Harry will drown himself trying to fight it." That silence was strategic. They call it the ghost protocol. No engagement, no denials, no leaks, no reactions. Starve the scandal of oxygen, at least on the palace side. Let Harry spin out of control. And oh, how he spun. Meanwhile, Meghan's PR team scrambled. They flooded the internet with glowing stories about her charity work, her role as a doting mother, even fluffy pieces about her quirky jam making. For a fleeting moment, it seemed like the tide might turn, until tabloids revealed Bower's next move: supporting documents, allegedly hard evidence. And just like that, the gossip machine roared back louder than before. This time, the public reaction was chillingly different. In the past, people rushed to defend Harry and Meghan. Sympathy poured in. Critics were told to back off. But now, people shrugged. They remembered the contradictions in the Oprah interview, the unanswered questions about Archie's birth, the drama-filled Netflix series. So when Bower suggested they lied about Lilibet, instead of gasps, people muttered, "Yeah, maybe." And that shift, deadly. Public doubt spreads like poison. Slow, creeping, irreversible. And that's exactly what Bower is counting on. Behind the curtain, sponsors began getting cold feet. Netflix, the same company that poured millions into the Sussex fairy tale, was reportedly fact-checking their stories. Imagine that, the very platform that boosted their voices now quietly asking, but is it true? At this point, it wasn't just scandal, it was a countdown, a slow, merciless, ticking clock toward Harry's undoing. He thought breaking free from the monarchy would liberate him. Instead, it's turned into a prison of its own making. And Tom Bower, he isn't just writing another book, he's narrating Harry's downfall in real time. And the world, watching wide-eyed, popcorn in hand?